Hi there, students. Daylight between us. There's no daylight between us. This means that our opinion, that how we look at this thing is the same. So there is no daylight between us in our opinion on sex education for children. Or there's a lot of daylight between the two negotiating parties, and we're going to have to find some way of bringing them closer together so that there's less daylight between them. Or, for example, my team won 3 matches in a row to put some daylight, some space between them at the top of the league. In a race, I'm running and my competitor's right beside me, and then my competitor speeds up and puts some daylight, some space between me and them. And that's this idea of daylight. Look, you see my fingers, okay? They're all close together and there's no daylight between them. But if I move them a little bit apart, now there is some daylight between my fingers, and you can see the daylight. And this is the idea, the daylight between different things. So you want to pay 9 and I want to sell for 10. There's very little daylight between our two positions. There's very little difference, very little difference between. Clearly there is no daylight between the two governments' positions. They both agree in the same way. Perhaps there's quite a lot of daylight between the position of the British government and the opinions of the European Union. So there's no daylight between us. We have the same opinion. To put daylight between us, to move away from someone, to distance yourself away, to make the difference larger. So if you put daylight between yourself and someone else, you make the difference or the distance larger. You increase it. And this daylight is talking about the space. So there's no daylight. Yes, yeah, there is a bit of daylight now. And there's a lot of daylight and it's increasing. And this is the idea, to put daylight between oneself and someone else, to create a distance. This product is so good that it leaves a lot of daylight between it and the next best product. So it's to create distance or difference between things. If you have various qualities in a range, it's important that consumers can see daylight between the different levels. Okay, so daylight between things. Clear blue water, they say in Britain as well. Okay, so this idea of daylight, it's talking about distance between two things, a divergence between them. The amount of daylight between the rich and poor countries seems to be growing. It seems to be getting bigger. The daylight between my expectations and reality grow every year. It was increasingly clear that there was a lot of daylight between the parties within the political coalition. The daylight between British and American English is gradually reducing. I think This is talking about the distance, the perceptible gap, your perception. It implies that there's a disparity between what groups believe or what they do. It's talking about different viewpoints, or the same viewpoint. If there's no daylight, then the same viewpoints at least are overlapping, or the stance in a particular situation, the stance on a particular issue. If you say, I think there's a lot of daylight between our positions, I'm saying that we disagree quite radically. There's a big difference in the gap between us. The distance between us is quite large. He's the richest man in the world, and putting daylight between himself and the second richest person in the world. Okay, so to put daylight there's no daylight. Daylight, it's this separation, and that's it. Daylight between. I think 4.5 informality. Use anywhere except for something very formal. So, put daylight between. Daylight between. Bye for now.